welcome everyone to this evening's little panel just to talk about life in Croatia and what's going on since the coronavirus has started, and since more recently we've also had the earthquake in Zagreb. So there's been a bit of a shake-up going on in Croatia. So it'd be really good to just hear things that are going on, I guess the way people's lives have been changing in Croatia and kind of how businesses are being impacted by this, with people from the Croatian Chamber of Commerce here back in Australia. I might just quickly start with quick introductions. Let's start with John. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly and explain a little bit about what your role is and the kind of things that you're seeing at the moment?
Sure. I'm Canadian Croatian, so born and raised in Vancouver, and did my studies and such there. And I moved to Croatia in 1997 to open the office of Price Waterhouse, now PWC. And I'm currently the CEO here, the country managing partner. And in my role here, we see a lot of things going on, business-wise and otherwise, right? So, happy to elaborate on that a little bit later, but that's just to give you an idea where I'm coming from.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And Josip, we're very lucky to have you join us here today. Would you mind giving us a quick update about kind of what you've been doing?
No, I'm privileged, and I'm the lucky one who's able to be on the panel with you guys today. Thank you very much. I might think that most people know I used to play soccer. I finished in Croatia. I'm living here now. I'm got into coaching the under-19 national team, and since this lockdowns happen, I've had a few games called off, some qualifying games, which has been a bit I don't know, bit unlucky, but that's all part of the whole world, what's happening at the moment, especially with sport. With all this other stuff with business and that, Johnny knows a million times more about that than me. But the sporting part is also whichever way, it's all somehow connected. So it's very I'd say probably inadequate. But I'm home with my wife and 2 kids, and honestly, it's not as bad as for me how some people talk about it.
Okay. Oh, that'll be really interesting to hear more about that as we go along. Steve, would you like to give a quick introduction?
Oh, I wasn't expecting this. Well, okay, Steve, I was born in Croatia near Osijek, and I've been here since 1970. Here with my family. Came out with mum and dad and sister, and I have two adult children. I live in Melbourne. I've been involved in various industries as far as background goes, but predominantly in aviation. My career includes self-managed super funds, retailing in the clothing and fashion industry, and working with universities as a teacher and as a trainer, as well as some larger corporations. My involvement with the Chamber commenced probably about 5 years ago, when I discovered them on LinkedIn and decided to stick my head in to see what it was about. And it was a way I was looking for. For me, I was looking for a way to connect to the Croatian community, because I didn't play sport like you do, Joe. So I really didn't have any connection, and that was my way of connecting. And so far, it's been a wonderful experience. It's been challenging at times, but it's been really a wonderful experience. I have met a lot of people that I wouldn't have, and including you guys now. This would never have eventuated if it wasn't for this involvement. I also met Cindy through that. So it's been a really, really good experience, and I'm excited to be involved in it, and hope to be involved for some time yet. I did go to Croatia a couple of years ago for the G2 conference in Zagreb. And although I've been there before, that was really my first time that I've had a chance to explore some of it. So thank you, Cindy, for organising this, and I hope that gives you a bit of an insight.
Fantastic. Both my parents are Croatian. They're from Osijek and Dal, and they came over here to Australia when they were kids, about 5 years old. So I haven't had a lot of experience understanding the culture other than what I've seen here in Australia. And we pretty much got joined with the Croatian Chamber as a way of connecting back with our cultural heritage. We had a family holiday there last August, which was awesome, had an amazing time. I guess my background's mostly been accounting, involved in small businesses, and at the moment I'm a business coach working with businesses trying to navigate through this crazy world of change that's going on right now. And I guess maybe something that we can start on is what is lockdown looking like for you guys back in Croatia?
I'll start, I guess. We're pretty much, we took it pretty seriously early, even as a family, and obviously as a firm. I think March 13th we issued the orders. Everybody worked from home. Lockdown meant I've got 3 children, and one of them was studying in Madrid, and she flew back on March 10th because she kind of panicked. She saw what was going on in Madrid. I'm glad she did. She got back sensibly, and has been here for 4 weeks now. I have a couple other sons. I have 2 sons as well. They're all at home, and we are, actually, to be honest, lockdown for us is like many people here. You're sticking to your house. We're not really going anywhere. The only people leaving the house for us are myself and my wife to go purchase groceries, if we're not ordering stuff online and having it delivered, right? And that is for most people like that. I mentioned to you earlier, Cindy, on Friday I had an all staff meeting. So 230 people on a call I conducted from my home office, my house here. And it worked really well on video link, sharing experiences and information, and trying to conduct business as usual. It is not business as usual, but it is for us a way that we are doing all our meetings now. And lockdown for me means that sometimes I feel locked down in my office because I'm getting a heck of a lot more done. You don't have any logistics to deal with. You're not going from meeting to meeting, from client to client, visiting different offices and sitting in your car and driving. I have a meeting at 1:30. I have one at 2:15, and I might be late just because one went over time. Otherwise, you're there right away. You're on the spot, and they're waiting for you on the other end, right? And so, you're sometimes getting 12, 15, 16 meetings a day, getting it done, and you feel, I'll be honest, bloody exhausted at the end of it sometimes, and all you're doing is sitting in your office, right? So it's quite interesting, right? I think what we're seeing is a lot of people missing the interaction, but they're sticking to it. And I would just, to finish off my side of it, is that people are being relatively disciplined here and staying at home. And, very small number of stores open, meaning food chains and stuff like it's just a necessary essentials, and that's it. And with people staying at home, we see that it looks like the situation in terms of number of cases is stabilizing in Croatia. They're talking about maybe reducing the measures in the coming week or weeks, but we'll see, right? And from that side, I just echo what Joe said, is that actually I'm really enjoying it, getting a lot of fitness done. I get time to work out. My boys are footballers, so I'm playing football every day. we have a yard, so we can play, the 3 of us, right? But you're getting a lot of these things done and doing things that you normally wouldn't do. Riding bikes, doing puzzles, this sort of stuff. So interesting times, and there's a positive side to it.
Yeah, very interesting. And Joe, you'd probably have I guess, John, you can work from an office or from home and can adjust quite easily to the virtual scene. Joe, how's that working out for you and the football side?
Well, football basically has come to a standstill in the whole world, apart from a few countries. So my job at the moment is I've got nothing to do. I got myself, me and my team have got ourselves prepared for these qualifiers at the end of March, and unfortunately everything was called off, which is for obvious reasons. And now we're just waiting to hear what the next step is. The thing that a lot of people don't understand, I think, with the football part, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of TV rights, a lot of big deals where there's going to be a lot of court cases. A lot of clubs are going to struggle. From what I do with the kids, when I eventually find out a date or some dates when we can start, when this is all over, hopefully as soon as possible, I'm going to have to first wait a few weeks to see who's in the form, who's not in form, and then I'm going to have to start basically picking players again there's no old merit. There's just on what I see in front of me today and tomorrow. So that's for me always the most important. But it's amazing. I think that a lot of people normally, like I always as well, have football on TV. We don't even put the TV on. We put it on every once in a while to see what's happening with this virus, how many people are infected and all that. That's like if we don't watch it, then we're going to see it in the newspaper anyway, online. It's like more or less what Johnny said. It's actually nice to spend that much time with the family. It's really, really nice. Me and my wife thought it's going to be crazy the first week or two, but we actually enjoyed it. We've enjoyed it more than what we thought we were going to have. We actually didn't know what to expect, but we actually loved it. So it's actually really, really nice time from that point of view.
Fantastic. And is there much of a chance for you to stay in contact with the guys that you were coaching?
Well, there's nothing really for me to ask them, or like I can keep in contact with them like this, but it doesn't mean nothing. Like normally the questions, when I keep in contact with them, the questions I'd ask them, there's nothing I can ask them because they're not training, they're not playing, they're not doing anything. So it's again, I have to wait to see when the restrictions get a bit more flexible. When they probably start training, then I might even go down to one or two of the clubs here in Zagreb at least and see how the players are looking like. But otherwise, there's not much for me to talk to them or keep in contact with them about.
Yeah, interesting. And it's the under 19. You're the under 19 team. Yeah. Right. And in Australia, terms of lockdown is kind of really just restricted travel. We are staying home as much as possible. I think in Australia, they were pretty quick to action lockdown. And then I guess it's flattened the curve in Australia now. But there's only essential work and essential services that are really carrying on while it's flattened. Anything else you want to say there, Steve?
Sorry, I just muted my my audio whilst so it makes it cut out in the background noise. No, look, it's pretty much. I think it is stabilising, as Cindy suggested. Businesses are trying to continue as much as they can. I think the current situation is the government is going to, or the Parliament will be convened tomorrow. And I anticipate there will be a lot of debate about the complexity about this support package that the government is providing, which it is very, very complicated, but it will be approved as far as I know. But the university that I work for, Swinburne University, they keep making weekly, almost daily announcements. They are taking, some of the senior managements are taking pay cuts and foregoing their bonuses for this year, and I think that's happening throughout a number of large organisations. I believe that the Qantas senior management have done a similar sort of thing. So our sporting world, Joe, is in pause mode, as it is everywhere. Players are taking a pay cut. There is talk from a number of clubs, like the rugby league, saying that some clubs will fold. They will not be able to survive this. So there are a lot of challenges, I think, for both the business world and the sporting world that are going on, and certainly for a lot of small businesses, a lot of them will fold. So it's looking good as far as the curve that's being flattened, but I think there's a lot more storm ahead from the economic side, which I guess will be the same story for the rest of the world. And I don't think anyone knows how that will pan out. We'll just have to wait and see.
Agreed. I guess in terms of staying in lockdown mode, you guys recently had the earthquake as well. what was the kind of, how's the mood and spirit, I guess, within Croatia at the moment? Because you kind of had a double whammy in Zagreb. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It was a double whammy. It was just after the first week of true lockdown, and Sunday morning, and you get woken up to this. So it's a positive move, but just to understand, there's certain parts of the city, especially downtown, is older buildings and structures mostly that suffered most of the severe damage. And Joe and I think both know people who ended up in pretty bad situations, or losing their home temporarily. I even have some employees who had this sort of situation. And interesting enough, you see, the trades, a lot of the trades are working. Obviously, they have their work cut out in the city, and driving through the city, you see a lot of even the fire departments involved in getting onto the roofs and starting to repair some of these things. But the estimate is that it's going to take 10 years to get, it fully repaired or restored to what it was. And you did, obviously, for dramatic effect, they showed the cathedral in Zagreb, and one of the towers, the top fell off. And, it was a pretty a dramatic event for everybody to see that, especially since it's been under restoration for so long. So, but the mood, I think the mood is still positive. It's kind of hard to say because one, apart from looking onto the news, you're not really socializing much apart from your immediate friends and such, right? So you're not having that much of an interaction. I have with the company, obviously, with my staff a lot, and people are still upbeat. I think it's still COVID-19 is still the overriding factor, and the lockdown and life in that scenario, right? So this is kind of what we're looking at. And Steve touched upon the economic side. I mean, there's lots of projections. It's a thankless job to project anything right now because we don't know when it's going to stop. And even though there's talks that, earthquake aside, and earthquake is an important event, but it's more an event to really awaken us from many things, is that, what's going to be the impact on the economy. And there's always these doomsday sort of predictions, but there's others a bit more realistic. And I would be in line with those to think that, we could be coming back to normal or out of some of these measures soon. It doesn't mean we're going to recover quickly. There are impacts. The tourism industry heavily impacted. And just to understand, Zagreb itself had become a bit of a touristic mecca itself over the last 5-6 years. They've done a great job in promoting it. We had a lot of tourists coming in, but on the coast, I already know even of some clients filing for bankruptcy, they're done. It just they were borderline or break even type companies, and they're done. And these are not even small companies; these are bigger companies, right? So, and you do understand that 20% approximately of Croatia's GDP is tourism related, and so that's it makes the government, the ministries very well aware. I think they're handling it very well, to be honest, right? But even if we do get into a sort of recovery mode, part of that depends on our export markets. And Germany, Italy, and Austria are our biggest export markets. And if they are doing a good job, now I can't say so much about Italy, but I see Austria seems to be coming out of it. Germany, the Germans are the Germans, very disciplined, and they're strong, and they're still purchasing. And if that would continue or start to come to a normal level, it bears well, at least positively from one side, for us, right, for the Croatian economy, right? But there's many other things to think about.
Yeah. Okay, and so I guess there is that economic situation. How is the health situation, the health system there coping with, I guess, the situation?
Joe, you want to say something, or I mean, we're not.
Yeah. Okay. More than me, mate. I think they're doing well, but you're more direct and more psychotrust.
I think they're doing well. They had the army involved pretty quickly. They brought out tents. The earthquake obviously created scenes that went around the world where you saw, women in certain hospitals in the pregnancy wards outside, being taken care of, and those are shocking pictures. But it is what happened. Having said that, apart from one fatality from the earthquake, which is very unfortunate, we were spared. The hospitals I think, are doing a great job. They're trying to be, I think they're trying to be as transparent and upfront as possible. They've made these makeshift shelters that I think have become very important. Obviously, everywhere in the world, the talk is about ventilators or respirators, and how many people you have
Yeah.
on them and how many you have. And like anywhere else, there's a shortage, right? But they are doing the best they can, I think. And for now, we don't have, at the moment, the crazy scenes and the worries about, we're overflowed. Doctors are having to choose, who lives, who dies. That's not exactly the case here at the moment. Now, it could change day by day, but our numbers are relatively controlled, and the majority of cases are not critical cases, right? So we have to be happy with that situation, right? And again, it comes down to staying at home, or staying as much as you can at home, right? That sort of responsibility. There's always going to be outliers and people who are not following that and not listening to that. But for the most part, I think we're having a good situation, and we're getting briefed every day. I think that's one of the things that Joel alluded to. 2:00, there's a press conference every day where you get the doctors from the disease hospital talking, and you have the police department talking, and you have the health minister talking. And these are the three most important and famous people in the country at the moment. They're on every day, and everybody's cheering for them and praying for them at the same time, right? That they continue to do a good job and keep us safe.
Nice. So
just one more, sorry, Cindy, just one more thing. Sorry, I just I apologize for cutting in. One more thing that about the earthquake, what Johnny was talking about. That the one that unfortunately that one girl died. So just to give you an idea, the exact time the earthquake was on at 6:24 in the morning. I know for a fact, because a few times I've traveled on that Sunday morning really early to the airport, and I go past a lot of churches, and those churches are always full. From 6:30 is always the first mass. I know for a fact that a lot of young kids, mostly in the city, there's a lot of discos, bars, whatever. A lot of kids go home then, they walk home. Just to give you an idea, that fact that just one person died, which is again a bad tragedy. It's the first time, I think, I spoke to an older priest. He told me the first time in the history, from what they know, that mass on Sunday was not conducted because of this pandemic, this coronavirus. So, luck in bad luck. It's actually truly amazing that only one person died, and that's I don't know if it's a blessing in disguise, or I don't know what that is, but it's something that in one way I'd call that, as bad as this sounds, I'd call that a miracle that just one person died.
Yeah. I think, Joe, just to say that Joe's right. It's the first time since the 7th century that Mass wasn't held on a Sunday in Croatia.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a question, if I may. John, just from the when we had some visitors here, we probably mentioned to you last year, and one of the topics was the EU funding that Croatia received since they joined the European Union. And I guess that's one of the questions, is the status with that and how that's going. But the second part to that question is, I guess, also the funding that's being made available to Croatia as a result of the not only the pandemic, but I guess now for the earthquake. How do those funds, what is the status of those funds in general, and how does that align with some of the current scenarios that are playing out?
So actually, excellent point, excellent question. And EU funds has been a sore point, because Croatia has been one of the worst utilizers of the funds available over the last, since joining the EU and even pre-EU. They have picked up the pace a bit, and one of the things that is true is that in terms of COVID-19 relief fund, EU is giving out 40 billion euros. Croatia is getting 1.3 billion euros of that, and from my understanding, that money is making its way into the appropriate hands, and it's going to be part of the additional measures that the government will undertake. They already had put together a 30 billion kuna, so it's about a 4 billion euro package for the country already in tax relief and other things, right? But from the EU side, there's another 1.3 billion added to that. Whether it be used directly into that or not, I'm not aware at the moment. In terms of the earthquake, this is something that I'd like to follow up on, I'll be honest, because there was a lot of talk and people were even informally lobbying and saying, we need to lobby the EU to tell them to give us money to help with this, right? And so that's something, a space to watch going forward. Right now, I've not heard of anything formally, at least, that the EU is adding any additional funds in terms of earthquake relief.
Yeah, I guess the follow-up question to that is also with regard to employment in Croatia. You've mentioned that the European funding was grossly underutilized in Croatia, and I guess there are various reasons for that. But I wonder what sort of employment opportunities there still are as a result of the European funding that's still available outside of the assistance package that's being provided for this current scenario.
Well, that's an excellent question, and even at PWC here we have an EU services team that helps with EU funding, and actually they're in the process of now aligning with the new program, which is going to from 2021 to 2027, a new set of funding going on, right? So I have to say the government's been very active. I don't want to use the word aggressive, but I would use it in a very positive point, framework to say that there's huge efforts being made that we get these funds and when we align projects and such to do that. So, just to go back, one of the reasons you don't get funding is you don't have the projects in place, which means that people are not either thinking they're not qualifying for it, but the money's there, right? And it seems insane, but you have to have entrepreneurs, you have to have ideal scenarios to get the funds. A lot of it was towards tourism, but they're trying to get into different parts of the economy, and pushing that is as much political as it is, entrepreneurial, and having people with the willingness and ideas to do it, right? And it's towards, improving manufacturing. I would like to see a large amount of funds going towards agriculture, because one of the things we've seen is that the small farmers are getting a lot of business these days. People are suddenly awakening, saying, "Hey, if I had somebody deliver the food," and that's what they're doing, and even we're purchasing it like this, getting produce directly from some of these small farms who will deliver or agree with you to deliver it and provide this. So I think it's an opportunity to, if the funds could be swayed that way as well, to create programs where agriculture would be stimulated.
Yeah. One of the things, thanks for that, John. One of the things that I experienced when I was there at the G24, I think it was, conference, and then subsequently we had a few visitors come out here and talk about and one of the key topics was the EU funding. The thing that came out very, very strongly was the confusion or the difficulty in how to go about obtaining, or if any entrepreneur that was interested, there were just difficulties on how to go about it, who to contact, what is and I guess there's a bit of a confidence issue that still comes up from this end, and I guess distance doesn't help that either. But I guess from our perspective, and I think Cindy, you would agree with me, that it would be really good for us to have I guess be able to provide our members and maybe some of the Australian Chamber community about some clarity on those areas, on how to access and what are the best ways or best channels to take for that. Is that something that we can maybe look at a little bit more in some of these meetings that we have in the future?
Absolutely. I would just say, quick piece of advice: contact PWC. We'll be happy to help you. Okay.
Okay.
We have a team that can do that.
Maybe that's where I went wrong.
Yeah. No. Even for some informal advice.
My mistake.
Thanks. I think the clarity is being improved. I think those comments are well founded. But having said that, consulting is one area where there is a lot of information available. And from my perspective, for what I've known, I'm not an EU funds expert, not even close to it. But I have a team that does it, and it's available, and the channels are relatively clear, right? So nobody's hiding the money. It's available. We just need to get more concrete in our approach. And obviously, even as a consulting firm, when we do this sort of work, we work usually on a success fee type basis as well. So if you get it, we get it, right?
Yep. Yeah, well, this will be really good to do something like that, because I did have a couple of interested parties from here that were really interested in setting up a base in Croatia, and one was technology based, and the channels that I attempted to go through, that I met, unfortunately didn't pan out very favourably, and it never went anywhere. So it's good. I'll keep that in mind, and maybe make some contact through you for the future.
For sure, would love to do that, and even in a future time, if we did a call like this, we can have even some of my experts on to talk about it, or you give a presentation that's even going to be more useful to everybody, right? So
maybe it's a topic we can organise for one of for online session, Cindy.
Yep, sounds good. You can.
It's my wife saying hi, guys.
My son will.
Come on, bring her back. She's born in Geelong, okay? So,
hi guys.
Hi.
Oh,
Hey, Martha.
Hey Joe.
so Cindy and Steve.
Hi guys.
we were asking the guys what life was like in Croatia now under these current situations. Can you give us a female point of view?
Oh, well, wives, stay-at-home wives, their life hasn't changed. Just full capacity, that's all.
You just have everything delivered to the doorstep.
Yeah, really, like, we're really lucky here in the sense that actually things have been organized quite well. So when I listen to stories from some of our friends who work in hospitals in Australia, or my sister who's a teacher in Canada, I think that things are actually being handled pretty well here.
That's great to hear.
Actually, we've heard, I'll be honest, I'm on the board of the American school, and it's a very international school. And a lot of the people, instead of going home, they said, no, we're not going to go home. We'd rather stay in Croatia. It's better here than going back to the US or elsewhere. And that's a fact.
But keep in mind that we really live simpler lives here. Much simpler than what we lived while we lived in Canada, and the work, the commute, the schools are located in more than less people are in their local areas of residence, right? Yeah. So it's not that far. Kids can commute on their own, so things are just a little bit simpler. Yeah. Traffic is obviously smaller. The commute is not hours. In hours, we already are in another city. So things like that are a little simpler here.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
It sounds gorgeous out there with the birds in the background.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's actually a really beautiful day. So I think the corona was okay. I think it's the actual earthquake that sort of shook all of us up here.
Yeah.
But as far as the corona goes, I think it's being handled okay over here.
Yeah. I think the earthquake made us all. I think Joel agreed as well. We're kind of got PTSD because there's been tremors even a couple of days ago. Aftershocks, right? And if the kids are running in the house, you hear something, you think, oh my God, is it another one, right? And it's not, but you've got that sort of reaction to it. Right?
Yeah. And
John,
sorry. Go.
What's PTSD? Post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
PTSD.
Or PTSD, well, whatever it is.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought it might have been
same thing. PTSD.
We're so shaken up that we're confused. Yeah.
No, sorry, I did. I'm just curious. I thought it must be that, but I thought it may have been something else that had a different meaning over there. Yeah.
No. Same thing.
And it's quite interesting though, because through the media and through social media, you can see these different images that are going on that kind of change the emotional journey for people. People who are stuck in that mindset of hearing and not filtering out what comes through. But it sounds like it's still quite reasonable back there, well managed, organised life as well. In terms of the emotional journey though, have you found, because I find that in Australia we've gone through a bit of fear, there's now reality of the uncertainty, there's going to be frustration, negotiating and anger before we go through these different fields. How's Croatia's, emotional journey at the moment, the people that you around?
I guess it just depends, right? Like when I think about Canada, which I think would be similar to Australia. Everybody's sort of stuck in a rat race. You have a really big mortgage. So, you know, if you're staying home for a while, you know, you're going to be worried about your next income. It's very much a little bit of savings, but sort of paycheck to paycheck. Here, paycheck to paycheck is a normal thing. So I think people just live a little bit simpler. So even though, yeah, you know, you're maybe emotional and you're going to have up days and down days of, we have two 20-year-olds in the house, basically 20, 19 and 20. And when I think about them, sure, they're frustrated because they don't know what's coming next, right? And they're thinking, how long is this going to go on for? They've already been home for a month. At their age, and both were living away, so both came back now before all of this. It's frustrating, but at the same time, family is a big thing here, a really big thing. And it helps everybody feel safe, I think. And even these simple things of, you know, you go out on your balcony, you're talking to your neighbors, so you're still getting a little bit of that socialization.
And having a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Or
because,
rakia.
Yeah, because we're very, very social here. That's for sure. There's, you know, when we go back to Canada, when you go back to Canada, people are, you know, you need to make your plans 1 month in advance to catch up with somebody. It's not like that here.
Yeah.
It's really not. And so in all honesty, I honestly think it's still okay here. Not to say we're not having bad days. People are still feeling frustrated and cooped up, but it's okay.
With the earthquake, the fear that people have, I guess it's all relatively understandable, but I assume that a lot of people went through the war in the early 90s and to the end of around at the end of 95. And I think that a lot of people, this whole situation with the lockdown, I think that people are, as bad as this sounds, I assume that they're somehow used to it. They've gone through a really bad thing, and 25 years later, also other really bad things happen. But I think that they're somehow immune to it. As bad as that's just my assumption. I can't say it because I wasn't here 1991 to 1995. But I just see also from the mentality of the people just, they go, okay, like what Mansa said, the people live here month to month. They've learned how to, they've done it. A lot of the people, their whole life, they had to. And I think it's no problem for them. It's a small problem. It's nothing.
And very disciplined, very disciplined.
I would add one note in terms of entertainment. They did it again last week, or finished last week. They showed the Croatia's World Cup run every day, a new game, and they showed it a live broadcast, and so people would watch the matches and, you know, go through the emotions all over again. Everything except for the parade was on, right? So
yeah, just so you stop information overload, right? Because people started, you know, 24/7 watching Corona information, and it's too much information.
Yes. Yeah.
It really is. And you need to know how to process that. And I think all of us, after a couple of days, we're like, just shut the TV off. Enough. You know, listen to the facts, and then you need to decide what are the facts, who are you going to listen to, and just try to keep it really simple, right? We actually, Joe, that's a great point about the war, and we actually spoke to our neighbors about it yesterday. Johnny and I were both visiting here in 91, and I had a sister who was living here, and you know, when those sirena went off, like, people went down to their bunkers, but they went down to neighborhood bunkers. So there were still 30 to 50 people down there. They'd play cards, they'd talk. So even in those times, they found a way. It's just a simpler life.
Yeah.
And when you peel down the layers, it's actually really nice, right? To live that life. You realize what's important.
Yeah.
Get rid of those extra things that you don't need, and it's all okay.
Yeah, simplifying life these days, I think, is a really important topic. We can make it so complicated unnecessarily, and I think Australia is very consumer driven.
Sure.
And we're good with debt in Australia in terms of living the life where, you know, it's keeping up with the Joneses type of lifestyle, having that career, the professional career, and jobs and house security and all that kind of stuff. Whereas
absolutely,
you don't think about what the essentials are and what's really important in life.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, I mean, 100%. If we were living in Canada, we'd both be employed. We'd both be working. It's just the way things are there. My daughter asked me 2 days ago, she goes, how did you guys decide that you would just stay at home? And I said, it wasn't even really a discussion. It just sort of happened. We came out here, and the way the salaries were, and once you sort of sat down and thought, okay, is it worth it to be at work, and who's going to take care of the kids? We don't have anybody, we don't have grandparents here. We don't have that system set up to help, and you just stay home. And when you look at it, 90%, if not more, of our friends are in the same position where the wife is at home, and it makes a huge difference in the way the kids are being brought up, and in terms of keeping some things simple, because you don't need to worry about both sets of parents. When can they take their holidays? Things like, it's just easier. Simplifying.
Simple sounds good.
Yeah.
I like the thought of that.
Yes. Awesome. Steve, was there anything else you'd like to bring up?
No, not really. I don't want to overload John at this stage, but just I will make contact with you, John. We'll have a look at making some contact with you and see if we can certainly do something on this EU funding channels. That'll be great.
Be very happy to. Look forward to it.
Fantastic.
Hi guys. It's lunchtime over here.
Joe, it's been really awesome to have you on board today and really share your experiences of how you've seen, I guess, the experience go on from your family's perspective, and also from a professional sporting career, how things are just sitting still in hibernation, really, aren't they?
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for calling me. It was really, really nice. And maybe we're going to eventually, the Croatian Football Federation, that was one thing that we also prepared. We're planning to make soccer camps for Australian Croatian clubs in Australia. This year, that was the plan. Unfortunately, everything happened how it's happened now. But that's one of the things that our president and vice president have emphasised, that they want to make camps with Croatian clubs around the world, also in America, Canada, Australia, and we were actually gonna meet up in America with some guys from Melbourne. Unfortunately, everything fell through for obvious reasons. But in the future, we'll be coming there, and hopefully extending the ties and making getting the network side happening from the football side. Thank you very much for calling me on. It was a pleasure.
Oh, it's awesome to hear from you. And if there's anything we can do to help you with that, happy to host, looked after you guys. Just let us know. We can hook you up with people here. John, always a pleasure catching up with you.
Likewise. I just echo Joe's thoughts. Thanks again for the call. It is a pleasure to be able to address your community. And as I mentioned, I look forward to eventually maybe doing a road trip out there, a road show on the investment side. But that's going to be, obviously, we need a few things to clear up before that happens, right? But looking forward to it. But thanks again. Pleasure speaking to you guys.
Thank you very much. And Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for organising it, Cindy.
Thanks, guys. Have an awesome week ahead, and hope to touch base again soon.
You too.
Cheers.
All the best.
Take care.
See you, Steve. See you, Johnny.
See you, Joe.